right. So here's the pitch.
Go.
Emilio Estevez,
Uh-huh.
huge right now.
Huge.
Right. He wants to get a more adult image because he
Uh-huh.
did the Mighty Ducks movies.
Right.
Cuba Gooding Jr.,
Ooh.
fresh off the John Singleton movie Boys in the Hood. I think they'd be great buddies.
True.
I was watching the MTVs the other day. My nephew's a big kid with the MTVs.
Gotta love the MTVs.
Oh, yeah. And I saw this guy in a video about the House of Pain, and I think he'd be perfect as the villain. Could be a
Oh my...
breakout role for him.
That's great. Get Everlast agent on the phone right now.
No, I mean the other guy. Not the guy who's in the House of Pains, but the other guy who's in the video for the guys who were in the House of Pains. Dennis Miller or something, I think his name is.
Get him too.
Okay, I'm a little leery on it, but no, it's Leary. It's Denis Leary. We'll get him, and you know what? Get Everlast. I say rappers make perfect actors, I think.
We'll get them all.
We'll get them all, and then we'll get maybe some cheap character actors like Stephen Dorff or Jerry Piven, and they'll fill out the cast, and they're going to run around all downtown Chicago being chased by Denis Leary Miller and Everlast and a couple other guys, and they're going to try to survive the night of their judgment.
I see what you see what you just did there?
Yeah, I know, right? I worked
with
real hard on that.
With the night of the judgment?
Right, it was their night of judgment. It was their judgment night.
That's right, everyone. We watched Judgment Night.
And it was amazing.
Okay, I gotta say, right off the bat, the last two movies, Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, Hollywood Homicide, tough to watch.
Yeah, Hollywood Homicide.
Hard to watch. But this is our first movie where I could say that I enjoyed watching it to a great extent. Nathan, you had seen this movie about 200 times, correct?
At least, man. This movie was huge, a huge part of my middle school and high school career because I was a big Denis Leary fan. I also enjoyed Emilio Estevez, and there was just something about the two of them being in the movie together and it looking like kind of gritty that just turned me right onto it. And I think I've seen this movie, no kidding, at least 100 times, and that's no hyperbole, at least 4 times in the last week because we were going to be watching it.
Okay, so here's the thing. You've seen it so many times, huge part of your life. I had never seen it, and during this one and a half week period, I watched it twice. So I mean, that's
it. Like if you look at the scores it got and the reviews it got, it was not super well received. But everyone I've talked to in the past couple of weeks saying that we're going to be watching this movie for this are like, "Oh my god, I love that movie."
Yeah, I saw a lot of comments. Love the soundtrack. Love the movie. Loved the movie. Don't know how it holds up now, etc., etc., etc. You said
it does, but it does not. Like it's still super fun, but it is really dated.
Yeah, and you were talking about the critics. This movie holds 31% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it's not well received at the time. And apparently, it was a bomb at the box office. It was a $20 million budget, and it only made $12 million worldwide.
That's ridiculous. You know what? I'm pretty sure the soundtrack made that in the first 2 weeks, though, because the soundtrack for this movie is amazing.
The soundtrack is phenomenal.
It's actually one of those movies where the soundtrack is considered as good or better than the actual movie.
Now, did Everlast have a thing in his contract where he also got to be part of the movie? Is that how that worked?
I'm not sure. I think that had to do with him knowing Denis Leary almost, because Denis Leary was legitimately in like some House of Pain videos at the first. He doing a little rant like he did his way Denis Leary does, and I think it came up and they were doing the movie and he was like, "Hey, you want to be in my movie?" And Everlast was like, "Yeah, sure. I'm not doing anything. Corned beef and cabbage."
What?
They're both from Boston and Irish, so.
Corned beef and cabbage. That's how they talk to each other. They just talk to each other in Boston.
Yep. But yeah, and you know what? I was he's credited by his real name. I will give them that. He didn't say, you know what, put my name in as Everlast. It was
Now, what is his name?
Eric Schrody, I think.
Okay.
But yeah.
I think we're overlooking someone in this movie though, because one of the thugs is also Zed from Pulp Fiction.
Peter Green, yeah.
Yeah.
He's so good. Everything I see him in, whenever he's being like, he's always just super menacing and creepy. He looks like a sociopath. Like,
Oh yeah.
and I'm sure he's not. I'm sure he's a fine gentleman. Everything I've seen him in is I've enjoyed him immensely. But the best stuff I've always seen him in, he's always been some kind of like thug or gangster or anything. He was the big baddie guy on the Black Donnellys, a fantastic show that
Right.
should have lasted way more than one season.
Yeah, I remember watching that when it was on, and I was actually surprised it ended so quickly.
Yeah, and on a cliffhanger too, dicks.
Thanks a lot, Paul Haggis.
Take that and friggin' NBC dickweeds.
Oh, I put the blame on the wrong person, I think.
Oh well, you know what? I'm sure there's plenty of blame to go around.
I'm sorry, Paul Haggis.
He's not. Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. You could have fought for it.
So, you know, we can get into this real quick because it's a really simple setup, man. Like, Emilio is a new dad, and this is his first night out with his friends since, you know, becoming a new dad, and his wife's kind of giving him the grief, and he feels guilty, but he doesn't feel guilty. You do a lot. They do a lot of character exposition really quick at the first, where you kind of get to meet Cuba Gooding Jr., where he's obviously the best friend of Emilio because he's the first person to show up, and they do the most talking. And then, you know, Jeremy Piven shows up with his big honking RV, state of the art RV too.
Oh yeah, it's a tank.
And it's huge, and it's got like it's 1993, and apparently the original Nintendo was state of the art.
I have a hard time believing that Jeremy Piven is like, you know what, gotta be a Nintendo in this thing.
But that's it. It's even if that was the case, it was 93. The Super Nintendo would come out 2 years earlier.
He's vintage.
Yeah, so it wasn't state of the art. Take that, Largo Entertainment. People who helped make this movie. But
research.
Yeah. So there's, you know, they've got the big 20-inch tube TV, which was state of the art in '93, and you know they got a satellite dish, which is the size of, you know, a NORAD defense satellite dish, which was state of the art in 1993. There's a lot.
Can I also say that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that Cuba Gooding Jr. in this movie, right off the bat,
Well, he was also
he's basically
1993.
he's basically an extension of Josh Hartnett's man whore character in Hollywood Homicide. So we have another man whore.
I don't think he's as terrible as that, but yeah, he's still like, I'm not, you know, I'm single. I'm gonna hit on random skeevy skank on the highway after Steve Dorff gets into a fight.
Oh, and the first time you see him, he's hitting on a girl.
Oh, that's true. That's true. And the wife, Emilio Estevez's wife, gives him grief because he.
What are you bringing, girlfriends?
Exactly. And he's like, "Give me a break. I wouldn't run around." She's like, "Calm down, jeez."
He says, "Why don't you get your friend to come over and watch TV with you?"
Yeah.
You watch that show you like. What's that show? You know that show. Come on, don't make me feel bad.
Clearly soulmates.
So,
yeah, Jerry Piven shows up, and they were short somebody who couldn't make it, so Emilio Estevez, without letting anybody know, invites his little brother, who apparently he doesn't get along with.
And like Piven, I don't think cares for him either.
Well, here's the thing. Jeremy Piven's character makes a big deal, Ray, makes a big deal about, you know, John, that's Stephen Dorff's character, showing up and saying, "Why'd you invite him? Every time you guys get together, it's a slugfest." And Emilio Estevez is like, "Cool down, he's my little brother." And then all the anger immediately comes from Ray.
Yeah, like honestly, Emilio and Dorff, Stephen Dorff, um, they seem to be pretty okay.
Yeah, that tentative older brother little brother relationship. When they clearly they run in different circles of friends, but every once in a while will hang out. That's definitely a pretty evident relationship. But Jeremy Piven's like, he gets on, he's like, basically telling him he sucks every chance he gets.
Oh, and he has one of the best lines here too when he says, "He's a pain in the ace."
A pain in the ace is what he is. So all that they pack up and they head for the big smoke, Chicago. They're gonna go see a boxing match, which boxing was, for anybody who was born after 1993, boxing was MMA before MMA was MMA.
Yeah, boxing used to be popular, guys.
Yeah. In fact, actually, UFC started the year this came out.
Oh shit.
This is probably one of the, this was the beginning of the decline for boxing being a draw for people to, get on the satellite or the pay-per-view with.
No, I never even thought about that. But yeah, I remember boxing was huge. Like,
yeah, Holyfield and
when
Tyson and Spinks and all them. When I was a kid, that was the talk.
I haven't heard shit about boxing since Tyson was around.
I think the last time I heard any big thing about boxing was Mayweather, and that's the only reason why is not because so much of his actual boxing was because his antics outside the ring.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I couldn't tell you anything about any of his fights.
Yeah. But I can tell you about one fight that happened on the freeway because they were trying to merge.
That's right.
Who gets into a fist fight because of merging?
And like Stephen Dorff is just ready to throw down give it any moment's notice.
And does. He mouths off to the guy in the truck and then gets out of the RV and wants to fight him. And crisis is attempted to be averted by Emilio Estevez, and then, he starts the scuffle with the guy in the truck, and Cuba Gooding Jr. steps in.
For the save.
Yep. And of course, to hit on the guy's girlfriend.
Yeah, like I said, every time there is a female around, Cuba is there.
Yes.
Which is not very often in this movie, granted.
And they, Emilio Estevez gives John, his little brother, kind of a reaming out, and I don't know how old Stephen Dorff's character is supposed to be in this movie, but he came off super solemn when he was basically like, "You're not my dad."
Oh my god! Okay, I wrote this down because Emilio, when he talks to him and says, "You're gonna get shot in the head or something," he talks to him like he's like 14 years old.
Yeah, and he's like 40, like he is his dad.
Yeah. I looked up Stephen Dorff. He was about 19 when this movie came out. So I mean, he was an older teenager, but he talks to him like he's a small child.
But that's the thing. If they're going out and they're drinking, so I'm assuming he's at least he's playing 21.
Oh yeah.
At least because they're going out and they're going to go to a boxing match in Chicago, and he's going to be drinking.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
So because they're now lost on the freeway and or they're stuck on the freeway, Jeremy Piven takes it that it's an insult to him that they're going to miss it because they're stuck in traffic. He tells them to turn off the TV, and he's going to get them to the venue, and he hates being late, and he gets on the off-ramp and apparently drives to Mogadishu.
That part made no sense to me. He's like, turn off the TV. I'm like, why wouldn't you want to watch as much of it as you could before you got there?
Just in case, right?
Right? Or like, okay, there's sorry, but we skipped another line that I really like. Okay, it's when Stephen Dorff first gets in the van and they're talking to whatever, and he says, Jerry Piven's like, "All right, boys, there's beer in the back," and his line is literally, "Ooh, beer." Like he's 14 years old.
Well, maybe he is supposed to be underage drinking if he's so happy about beer being there.
I laughed for a solid minute at that line.
So they're in what is supposed to be kind of like the downtrodden or rundown section of Chicago, but it looks like Beirut or something. Like there's nobody around. The buildings look like they've been bombed out. There's like 3 or 4 trashed cars and debris everywhere.
Yeah, it seems like they've been driving, and it seems like they've been driving for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
it's like they've gone for, like, I'm not saying Emilio lived in like a rich part of town, but I mean it was decent, and they came from like hot to cold.
They may mention later, these are our neighbors, and we're like 10 minutes away from your house.
Like, Jesus.
But so they're driving through, in the ghetto,
The Kodak Great Chicago Moon.
in Chicago, right?
Exactly. There you go.
So they come across a group of transients who are trying to warm themselves by their fire, and they're like, well, we got to get directions, and Ray's like, well, what are you gonna do? Just ask the people, say, hey, we're the welcome wagon, because he's super afraid of where they're at. So Cuba Gooding Jr. gets on the PA system that's included in the state-of-the-art RV, and is like,
right.
He starts talking to them. The homeless guys come over, and they're obviously going to give them a little shit for being like, oh, you're super rich and we don't have any money, so you suck, we're going to mess with you a bit. The guy reaches into his jacket like he's going to pull a gun out and pulls out a bottle.
Hilarious.
Jeremy Piven has pulled out a gun from the glove box, and Stephen Dorff has the line, yeah, you're right, Ray, you never know when a maniac's going to pull a gun and blow your head off.
Oh, and this is where I started to notice Jeremy Piven must have gone to the school for cocaine overacting.
That is a safe assumption.
Because he flips out. Like, the part where he's saying, like, how is that funny? How is any of this funny? Like, he looks like he's strung out on coke.
But it definitely gives them this dynamic where they're like dude bros.
Yeah.
They're absolutely dude bros for life. Everybody all the guys in this movie. And that, I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing if that's the kind of life you're going to choose to lead. But they are all clearly like, wedgies and purple nurples would be absolutely hilarious to these guys, well into their 30s. And
has Jeremy Piven been balding his entire life?
Absolutely.
Because this was 13 years ago.
If you've ever, even in the movie PCU, where he is playing a college student, he's balding.
Every time I think of Jeremy Piven, it's balding and cocaine. That's what Jeremy Piven is to me.
He's just a big ball of
big bald, coked up monkey. But he's great. I love him. Anyway.
But so they continue to cruise about the ghetto in Chicago, and they run over, I don't know the actor's name, but he's another 90s guy. There's a lot of 90s folks in this movie. Like, I wasn't kidding around when I said if you want to encapsulate a moment in the 90s, this movie is the perfect ideal for you, because a lot of them, I mean, like I said, you got Everlast, Cuba Gooding Jr.'s in it, Emilio Estevez, they were the draw for the good guys, and obviously Denis Leary, who was just starting to shoot to popularity. House of Pain, Everlast is in there, and then the guy that they hit is a guy who was on Head of the Class and was also on New York Undercover.
Okay, because I wrote down Jay Baruchel, but I didn't think that was right.
Yeah, it was not Jay Baruchel.
All right, that makes sense now.
He is not a time-traveling warlock, so...
They did not cast a 10-year-old Jay Baruchel as the accident victim.
No.
Okay.
And so they try to save this poor guy, and he ends up getting shot up by Denis Leary anyways, because he stole money from him.
And can we talk about how Emilio is so, like, over-the-top willing to be a good guy? Like, for me, he's
man.
like...
I'm surprised they didn't have him literally save a cat.
Like, Ray, he might be hurt. We have to go check it out. He's like, and Jerry Piven is the sensible one for once, saying, I'm not going out in this fucking neighborhood.
Because
like,
it looks like a bombed-out war zone.
Right. And Emilio is like, no, I think we might have sort of maybe hit somebody. We should probably check it out. Then they stand at least 5 feet away from him, and one of them says, he's dead. No one checks for a pulse.
He was not dead, by the way.
No, he's not. But I don't know who says it, but they're at least 5 feet away from him, and he's like, he's dead. And then another one says, think again, asshole. Guys!
So they load the poor guy into the RV, and they start driving around trying to find like a hospital or something for him. And they get T-boned by Denis Leary and his boys in their gangster mobile.
Yeah, while they're chasing down the worst cops in the world.
Yeah. While the whole time Cuba's yelling on the PA, telling them to stop, and they turned. I can't believe they turned. Like, yeah. Oh, well, you know what? I'm considering where they're at. I'm sure there are worse crimes happening at that time.
They probably want to get out of Beirut.
Yeah, exactly. So Everlast and Peter Green and Denis Leary reach in and they grab New York Undercover out of the RV.
We should just call them by their famous movies they've been in. And Boys in the Hood is watching, and...
You know what? If our podcast needs a shtick, I'm going with that one. That's a good one. So anyways, they grab New York Undercover, and Denis Leary, or the ref, is talking to...
He's all covered in shadow, by the way, as if we couldn't tell that was Denis Leary.
Well, yeah, because he's at his absolute most Denis Leary when he starts ranting. Like, it's like they just plucked bits from his stand-up or something.
Thank you, because I was going to say half his performance feels like he's doing stand-up.
I think half the performance is just him improvising stuff. And
yeah.
It works beautifully because he... You know what? Even though he does a lot of talking, he definitely does have an air of menace about him, which serves the movie quite well.
He is a menacing figure. You wouldn't think so, but he is.
So, well, it's funny because this is like he had 6 movies that came out in '93.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is I think this is one of the meatiest ones that he had. He was in The Sandlot, and he was in one with Christopher Lambert and Mario Van Peebles.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah,
I'm honestly surprised he didn't break out in the middle of the movie and go, "I'm an asshole,"
or at least have him say that as like a wink and a nod or something. But you know what? I think there's a lot of stuff that this movie didn't do that I was predicting it to do, and it's better for it.
That's true.
We'll get into it later, but. So yeah, these 6 movies, like he was just kind of starting to take off, and for him to put in the performance that he did for this movie, man, kudos to him, because this is one of the first movies where I was like, given the opportunity, Denis Leary can actually act.
Yeah.
Who
would have thunk it?
Well, a lot of times, stand-ups will stick to comedy. Because it's easy to do, right? Because they're already kind of, funny guys. And, if he does have some lines, like one-liners and stuff in this, but he definitely, like I said, is menacing, and he can actually act. Oh, he was also in, I think Demolition Man came out the same year, too, where he was...
Right!
Yeah.
He's the leader of the rebels in that movie.
Yeah. So, him and his gang, they're getting off. They're talking to New York Undercover, and you stole from me. I can't let that be, and they shoot the guy. Because
right in the head.
Right in the head. Stephen Dorff, they have a one shot of him where he's like, "Oh no!"
Oh my God, yes, the reactions.
The reaction shots where after he gets shot and everybody in the RV's like, "Oh my God!" and Stephen Dorff yells no. After they shoot him, the guy's like, "Yeah, so what about the guys in the RV?" So they didn't do it to have some sort of turn from the guys in the RV, the gang, to be like, "Oh right, those guys, let's go get them." They just shrug it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody just yelled no.
Also, did you notice this when they reacted? It was like a waterfall of reactions, because it started out with Stephen Dorff. He is the most over the top, insane reaction.
Yep.
Cuba Gooding Jr. freaks the fuck out. Jeremy Piven just kind of looks solemn and looks down. Emilio Estevez does not change his facial expression.
No, because he's got to be absolutely stoic. He's the hero.
But they go from huge to nothing. Emilio was freaked out earlier about traffic, but somebody getting shot in that.
Shot a guy, yeah.
And he's like, well, I got to keep a cool head about this.
So he does what he does. He starts up the RV and no, they try to, but they can't, so they have to get out. And he lights the RV on fire.
Yeah.
To get away from the gangsters, they blow up the RV.
I was conflicted about this. This is kind of a good idea.
Well, it was, except for the fact that, Raid now owns a big, hulking, flaming RV because he conned his way into the RV, remember?
Right.
He told the dealer, I think I want to buy some of these for my sales fleet. Can I take it out for a test drive this weekend?
Right, and he has another cocaine freak out when it starts to fall apart, too.
Yeah, he's like, oh, now I own this piece of shit TV, and I own this fax machine. I'm gonna fax myself,
And then, while he's going through this stuff, I'm like, this is all gonna be obsolete in 5 years, dude.
Yeah, and like I said, that's it. This movie is the perfect time capsule for just that point when everything was about to jump over into the next push in technology. This movie was right there to the bitter end.
Right. And I'm assuming before they run off, Denis Leary and his gang put some sort of GPS tracker on them because they managed to find them everywhere.
Oh, I know. Because next comes one of the best parts of the movie when they go to the train yard. He finds them pretty quickly. Either, like you said, they put GPS on the guys, or these guys missed their calling as hunters, like professional hunters, big game hunters, because they could track anything.
Oh, yeah. And, he has, super, super good hearing, too, because he can knock on the cart and tell when there's people in it.
Oh, yeah, and he tells them, don't move, don't whisper, don't even breathe.
Denis Leary is a bloodhound.
He's fantastic in this movie. I can't say enough about this movie, how much fun this movie is. And it, like I said, there's a lot of crazy bananas things going on in it, but for all those moving parts, I defy anybody to see this movie and not have a good time.
Yeah, agreed.
So now they have the confrontation with the hobos in the train car.
They get their revenge a bit.
Right, because they're like, oh, why don't you give us your money and your watch and your Purdue jacket? And
Which, by the way, Jeremy Piven is not ready to give up his watch to save his own life.
No, he's not. He tells the guy, go to hell.
Already there, man.
Yep. And then he slyly hides his pinky ring, puts it away so that the hobos won't get it.
My third favorite line here. Everlast says, Lucy, you got some splaining to do.
And he is, like I said, he's good. I like him in this movie. I'm certainly, it's evident as to why his acting career didn't shoot through the moon though.
Well, I mean, I feel like he could have gotten away just playing toughs in movies like this.
Yeah, no, he definitely has that. He's got a good street thug thing going on.
But I like to think of him as his backstory as being a huge fan of 1950s television shows.
I can see that.
Well, he makes an "I Love Lucy" reference for God's sakes.
If you're gonna be a street thug, you gotta have that, that weird, quirky, soft side thing to you. It not always, it's you're not soft, but there's just that one thing that you appreciate that is out of place for a tough guy. So yeah, if he's a big Lucille Ball fan, that'd be fantastic.
That's his
Ricardo,
backstory.
I guess would be Ricky Ricardo.
That's right.
He quotes Ricky, not Lucy.
I wonder if Everlast secretly actually is a big I Love Lucy fan. He was like, guys, can I please put a reference in this scene?
Because they won't let me put it in any of my raps.
They won't let me rap about I Love Lucy. So can I please say it in the movie? And they were like, fucking say whatever you want, Everlast. There's not even a script, so just do whatever.
So, they managed to get flushed out because one of the transients starts telling Cuba Gooding Jr., I was college graduate.
Oh my God.
Ball, but I never got a jacket. I got a jacket, but somebody stole it on me. Give me yours. And he does give it to him, but the guy's flipping out at him.
Oh,
take
he
it.
flips his
Yeah,
shit.
he's like, you come down here and you say I'm a liar and you won't give him a jacket, throw it in my face, and that's of course when Denis Leary and his guys hear, and they all take off out of the train, and he takes aim and he shoots Cuba Gooding Jr.'s jacket. But
But that's not the crazy guy, though. I don't think.
well, no, it was but psych, it wasn't Cuba Gooding Jr.
No, but I mean, when he shoots the guy in Cuba's jacket, I'm pretty sure. Like, I rewound it a couple times. I don't think that was the guy flipping out.
Well, you know
I
what?
think that was a different homeless person.
You've just
That
given me an excuse to watch this movie again.
I'm pretty sure Cuba puts his jacket on a different innocent homeless person
So he
who
can get
gets
shot.
so he gets shot by Denis Leary, and Cuba
Well,
can
you know
escape.
what? I'm watching that movie again this week just to see.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's why. And I'll let you guys know on the next podcast if Brendan was right, if they flubbed up and put the wrong homeless guy in the jacket.
At that point, I was like, Cuba is a piece of shit.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Denis Leary is at his, again, most Denis Leary during the whole train thing, where he starts talking about, like, you know, condo, like the trains are condos. He's like, you know, we had this, and there's another thing. We had this guy who was in the joint, and he used to yap, and he's just ranting, and obviously he's doing it to kind of shake them up and get them out from wherever they're hiding from, but I think a lot of it was, they're like, here are the beats we want you to hit, explore.
Yeah.
So,
Pretty much.
yeah.
And I was gonna say, like, we were talking about how Denis Leary can act and everything. Isn't he on, or wasn't he on? I don't know if it's still on. Wasn't there a show he was a part of just recently?
He's actually in a show right now. It's on FX or FXX called Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll.
There's a firefighter show too.
That was Rescue Me.
Okay, now that's supposed to be that he was supposedly good on that, was he not?
He's fantastic on that. That's an excellent little show.
So does he still do Denis Leary, or has he like?
Well, it's not. No, he doesn't rant as much. There are some rants on the show, but they're not comedic a lot of the times. Like a lot of times when he has rants, it's like a legitimate expression of his frustration or feelings.
Okay.
So he does. I mean, obviously he's still ranting, but he's not throwing off like one-liners and stuff to make it sound funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
So this is when they get to the phone booth. Do you remember the great line that Cuba says when the phone doesn't work?
Oh, reach out and touch someone my ass.
That's not dated at all.
No. Well, the fact that there's a phone booth, that's not dated at all either.
That's
right?
true. That's true.
But they do manage to take shelter in some housing projects.
Right.
Right before they're about to, let's go talk to this weird kid who's standing on the swings swinging.
And I don't blame anyone in the building, because they go in the building and pretty much everyone shuts their doors, doesn't want to open them. I don't blame them, because they look like a gang of rapists.
Well, it starts, Cuba opens the door and knocks on the door, and like an Asian guy's like, hi, how's it going? It's like, yeah, that's not, yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'd shut the door too. And not because it's Cuba Gooding Jr. You're living in the projects, someone opens the door, someone knocks on your door in the middle of the night, and if they look like they're playing up they're nice, they are not nice.
Correct.
And he looks like he's playing up that he's nice way too hard on that, because he's like big smiles and, hey, can we just use your phone for a second? No, you cannot.
Get the hell out of my building.
It's so much that they had to actually sneak up on somebody to use the phone.
Right. And they almost get shot in the process.
No, they almost get bludgeoned. She had a bat.
Right. I thought she had a shotgun for some reason.
She's doing her laundry or something, or putting the garbage out, and Emilio is like, oh, excuse me for a second, we just need... She's like, back the fuck up! And she pulls out a bat, and her friend comes out, and is like, is everything okay? And she's like, it's fine, get back. And her friend goes back in and gets a kitchen knife.
Right.
But you know what? They couldn't resist smooth talking Emilio. He manages to talk his way into their apartment so they can call the police.
I'm surprised that when they cut back to that apartment scene, Cuba wasn't fucking one of the girls.
Not for trying, but I think he realized that it's either fuck or hit the fence, and I think he was more about hitting the fence at that point.
Is this where we go back? Is this where we switch over to Dennis Leary talking to that gang?
Well, that does come up. That is the next thing. And the funny
thing,
just before that, at this point, when they're in the projects and they're trying to knock on doors, and there's Jerry Piven's like, "What's wrong with these freaks?" That's when Emilio Estevez says, "These freaks are our neighbors. We're like 10 minutes from your house."
Yeah.
And Stephen Dorff's character keeps saying, "Welcome. This is the real world, the really real world, Ray." And Ray's like, "I'm gonna punch you. Say that to me one more time." This is the first time we've heard him say it.
That's right. And oh my god.
The whole thing is like, it's almost like they're like, "This is a social mirror for you people watching this, eh?
You see what's going on here?
Look at yourself in this movie."
Yeah.
They were not subtle with the social statement, is what I'm getting at.
No, No, it's not.
Luckily, they do away with all that stuff, and they go to Denis Leary and his ghetto economics.
Oh my god! Okay,
which is a really good scene. Honestly, awesome scene in the movie.
Okay, but I timed it. Okay, the conversation between Denis Leary and that young leader of like the other gang or whatever.
Let's call them the Toughs.
The Toughs, yeah, because Leary basically talks them into letting them on their turf so that they can go after our heroes. Yeah. Now, this conversation was a little less than a minute long. I took count. They said the word man 19 times.
Okay.
It was literally like, "Hey man, you on our turf, man." Like, "Oh man, I'm just trying to get those guys, man. You know what it's all about, man. That money got blood on it, man." Ever see any that didn't?
If the cops had showed up, somebody could have had the opportunity to say, "Oh man, it's the man."
Exactly.
That'd be perfect.
If only you could put the word "man" in here a few more times.
Oh
man.
So then they go back to the Toughs, tell them where everybody went. And we go back to the apartment where they talk about the cops, not coming down, and people have died of old age waiting for the police. And it's like, again, with the social commentary.
Yeah. Police don't come around here because they don't care about the poor people, is what we're trying to say.
So the nice ladies in the apartment tell them how to get away because, Everlast and Peter Green and all them are going around door to door looking for them. And this is one of the first times I really noticed that remember how we said last time that they were super cool about like gay jokes and stuff in Hollywood Homicide?
Uh-huh.
They are just absolutely fine with people straight up calling somebody a faggot in this movie.
Oh, yeah. Like, "Yo, fruit bag."
Several times. And I was like, wow, that would not fly today, and with good reason.
Is this... Okay, you said the girls help them get to the rooftop. This is also, like, not a minute after Jeremy Piven pulls a gun on everyone.
Oh, yeah, and Emilio has to talk him down.
Like, okay, you had the gun earlier, and you had some kind of issue pulling it on the bad guys.
Well, they say that. He's like, "You had this the whole time, and you didn't use it?"
Yeah.
Well, I'm using it now.
Yeah, but it makes no sense.
Why would you use on the people you love and not the people who are trying to kill you?
He's freaking like... Well, honestly, though, in my opinion, they could have stayed in the apartment, and they probably would have had a better shot.
Yeah, they could have pigeonholed him.
Like, Piven's not a bad... Well, I mean, He's not entirely smart. We'll get to that later, but he's up to this point he's made some decent decisions.
Yeah, and you know what? As kind of a shitheel character he is, a lot of his decisions are based on at least some sort of street smarts that he clearly has.
Yeah.
And Emilio Estevez is just basing his off of, I need to be Captain America and save everyone.
Also, I have a lot of trouble believing that Emilio used to be like a street tough guy.
Oh, I know, right?
Because they say that several times.
Well, no, that he had balls. I think
Yeah.
it's just the fact that he was like he was street tough in the way a dude bro is street tough.
Right.
You know,
which I'm like, okay.
Yeah. But anyways,
I don't see Emilio that.
No, not at all. They get away, and the ladies tell them, go to the roof. There's a ladder. You can crawl across that. That's how a lot of the gangsters get away from the cops.
Right. There's a ladder on the roof connecting the roof to another one.
Like, yeah, strung together that they crawl across like a makeshift.
Don't worry, they won't be rickety or anything.
No, not at all. Not in the ghetto. So they get there, and everybody gets across. And you know what? For all my talk about sweet talking Emilio, old sweet talking Emilio was no match for smooth talking Piven.
This has. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh well, no, Emilio tries to talk Ray down and to get him to go across the ladder because he knows that he's obviously scared, and Piven's character Ray just kind of, I don't know, he gives him the old retail pitch and says, "No, you go. Trust me, I'll come across when you're done."
Oh, but you skipped one part.
What's that?
The part where Piven is coming down the pipe and Emilio is doing stand-up.
I'm getting a great view from down here, Ray.
Thanks, Ray. I'm here all week. Like, no emotion whatsoever in his delivery. So that part just killed me. Anyway.
The comedy in the middle of a death chase.
just the fact that Emilio, like, well, we talked about this before, that sometimes he can be a little unconvincing in his delivery, and that part was the biggest one for me.
It's kind of like a, I don't know, like we said, it's prevalent throughout his acting career. I mean, all you have to do is just even watch some of his earlier stuff, like anything in Repo Man. But I mean, that movie's weird to begin with. But if you move on to like Breakfast Club, when he's talking to Judd Nelson, and he's like, "You're gonna leave her alone, man, or you're totally." And Judd Nelson, I almost think that the reaction in that movie when Judd Nelson goes, "Totally," like almost like, did you just make that up? Like, because that makes no sense at all. And Emilio is like, he sticks with it. He goes, "Yeah, man, totally." It's like, this is the most unconvincing tough guy talk I've ever heard in my life. That's kind of Emilio Estevez's tough guys in a nutshell. But I think it's one of the things that kind of endears him to me because he makes some strange acting choices. Not Christopher Walken strange or anything like that, but just enough to make you realize, like, oh, you know what, he's trying and he's doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, he is very likable, I think, but it's just that scene was just, it was just so odd. Anyway, go ahead with the ladder.
So they everybody gets across except for Ray, who doesn't even try.
No.
Just throws it off the roof, and he's like, "I'm gonna talk to these guys."
Right, these guys that have been shooting at us.
Yeah, I got them right where I want. That's his exact word. I got them right where I want. Like, I'm gonna talk them out of killing me.
Right.
Spoilers alert. He doesn't.
No, it goes about as well as you would expect it to go.
Yeah, he offers him like $200,000 or something like that, and his pinky ring.
Yeah. I'm like Jeremy Piven went from having some of the best ideas to being the stupidest person in the entire movie.
Yeah, and he's like, "I'm getting off this roof in one piece," and he's like, "Yeah, you are," and then throws him off the roof.
Bam.
And I don't, spoilers alert, only good guy that dies in this movie.
Poor Piven.
Congratulations, Cuba Gooding Jr.
I saw that one coming.
Because it was one of the things where I was like, a lot of things that are predictable in those movies, especially movies like in the genre, in that genre where there's like a group of people running from folks or like a killer or something like that, usually the first person to get picked off is the black guy.
Mm-hmm.
And doesn't happen. Good for him, you know, and good for this movie, because it was one of the things that I was predicting to happen when I first saw it way back, and it didn't happen. And I was like, huh, you know what? That's kind of, yeah, all right, good for them.
I kind of
justice and whatnot.
Yeah, and you kind of feel that like one of them has to go because you gotta like get the stakes raised higher, right?
Yep.
And
Ray's
but else
got a, you know, his character arc was, you know, he's kind of, you know, nice guy, but he's kind of shitty.
yeah, I mean, he like one thing I do honestly like about this movie is that they don't make him a total asshole character.
Yeah.
He kind of is at times.
He does have
you
some
get the sense of that.
Qualities to him, and that's
right.
why you feel bad when he dies.
You get the sense that he genuinely is friends with these guys, at least everyone but Stephen Dorff.
Right. So they manage to they run away, and they see poor Ray's body on the ground, and they duck into the sewers.
Oh wait, you skipped a bit of social commentary here.
Oh, did I?
Because Cuba shoots at them, and he says, hold on. Okay, yeah, he shoots at them, and one of the thugs says, "Can't believe these guys have guns," and the other one says, "Yeah, too easy these days."
Oh, yeah. Everlast says that to him.
Right. I wonder if Everlast was like, "Yo, I want to get my gun message out there."
And this is that one point, like, the non-famous tough guy in the gang, because
right, I have no idea who
I know everybody else's name. I have no idea who this other guy is.
Cuba shoots him.
Yeah, they keep giving him they keep giving him the business, and then, like, there's one point where he's like, "That's not funny," and Denis Leary was like, "Yeah, that was hilarious," and then they tell him, "Yeah, go ahead and take a look," and the guy peeks his head up, and then they, you know, Cuba Gooding Jr. blasts the gun off, and he's the one who ducks down, and they all laugh at him again.
Now, I just want to make sure I'm getting something right here, though. In this scene, Cuba does kill that guy, though.
No,
because he shoots him in the chest, does he not?
I don't.
Because as soon as he throws Piven off the roof, Cuba shoots and drops one of the guys, and I'm pretty sure he kills the no-name guy.
Well, then there must be another no-name guy then.
Okay, because he definitely shoots him, and he drops.
You know, spoiler alert. There's another no-name guy that gets killed in the just coming up here in the sewer.
Right, and there's only 4 guys.
There was Denis Leary, Everlast, and Peter Green. Those are the 3 people that I knew in the group.
Okay, because I swore in that scene that Cuba killed that guy. Because he shoots him, and then he's on the ground. You see it's like in his stomach or whatever. I guess he could have survived, but I mean, it's pretty fatal.
Possible. Because, like, yeah, but I mean, then if that's the case, that no-name guy doesn't get any lines in, because the one guy that I'm talking about here is the one who's just constantly trying to wind up Denis Leary.
Yeah.
Throughout the movie, and it's like he's a straight-up sociopath.
Which one?
Denis Leary.
Right.
Like, he's clearly has no regard for human life that isn't somebody in his inner circle. So why would, I suppose maybe this guy is under the misunderstood conception that he's in his inner circle so he can talk to him however he wants. But there's times where it's like, I wouldn't talk to a guy who has no, you know, qualms shooting a guy in the face in front of 4 witnesses. I wouldn't talk to him like the way this guy talks to him.
Also, the plan to go into the sewer, this comes quite naturally to Emilio.
Yes. Well, yeah, they get into the sewer, and then they're trying to find their way around, and they end up taking like this urban water slide, which I don't think sewers work that way, but
they also have a moment of grieving where Emilio doesn't seem to care one bit that Ray has died.
Yeah, I think he's more about self-preservation. But next comes up, the bad guys follow them into the sewers to look for them, and there are some odd cinematography choices in this point. There's a lot of like close-ups that are weird, like Dennis, like the lower half or the lower quarter of Denis Leary's face is shown, and one of the gang members is over his shoulder in the background, moving around or looking around. So you get these weird close-up shots of Denis Leary talking, and he has Gary Busey-sized teeth. he just like nothing but lips and teeth in this this whole exchange, which I found unnerving. It doesn't add anything to it, but I found it unnerving.
He does have giant teeth.
Yeah, and this is the point in the movie where they decide that they'd rather fight than flight now. They feel like we kind of got them where we want them, to steal a line from Ray.
Ray?
Because he said, I got them right where I want them.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the line that Cuba says in this scene.
No. This is where they got him right where they want.
It's like that would be great if they were visited by Ray's ghost. He said, "Guys, you got them right where you want them.
Avenge me."
It wouldn't have been out of place at all.
No, not at all. So, this is the point where they're all, they're kind of doing they're trying to do like a pigeonhole thing where there's only so many ways these guys can get in. So let's grab some pipes because they have guns.
Yeah.
And defend ourselves.
They find them pretty easily too.
Yeah, and Peter Green finds them, and he sees Cuba Gooding Jr. waiting. So he slowly sneaks up on him, Don't know why he hasn't shot him at this point yet.
Right.
Keeps sneaking.
They take a real risk at waiting this long.
And sneaking some more, and then sneaking just a little bit more. And then, because this is where you see John, he's like, I should act, but I can't act. I'm scared to do anything with Stephen Dorff.
Yeah.
And Emilio Estevez comes out of nowhere and saves Cuba Gooding Jr., and they get the gun from Peter Green. Okay,
so this is why I wanted to mention that Cuba shot that guy on the rooftop. Because this is Peter Green, Zed from Pulp Fiction. Yep. He says to Cuba, you ever shoot anyone before? He just saw him shoot someone not 10 minutes ago.
And then Cuba Gooding Jr. proceeds to shoot him.
Right. Without hesitation. But you ever shoot anyone before? Dude, he just shot one of your toughs on the roof.
Or at the very least, he was shooting at you guys.
Yeah.
So he has no qualms with taking a shot at you.
Exactly. I don't think he was trying to miss in that scene.
No. And then, so, they kill him. They, Cuba Gooding Jr. and Emilio Estevez and Stephen Dorff all start to leave against Cuba's wishes. Cuba wants to stay and fight.
Right.
Because there's only 3 of them now. And so
Cuba
the odds are even.
Dramatically changes, I think, at this point.
I know. He takes a hard, sharp right once they get that gun.
Yeah.
But Emilio says, no, we're leaving, and they leave. And this is where the no-name tough just starts winding up Denis Leary, really bad. Where he's like, oh, way to go, because of your stupid rules, your friend's dead now. What are you going to blah, blah, blah. It's okay, first of all, he's your gang leader. I don't want to talk about the inner workings of the politics of, being in a gang, but I'm pretty sure you don't talk to the gang leader like that if you're an underling. Secondly, anybody who's willing, like I said, to shoot somebody in the face over a few $100s, I'm not going to sit there and wind them up and call them an idiot. Especially after one of their, because clearly Peter Green is one of his closer confidants, because they're friends. They've known each other for a long time. I'm not going to sit there and wind him up after one of his best friends has just been killed by calling him an idiot and saying he's stupid. And Denis Leary, because Denis Leary does not take it, and then kills one of the guys in his own gang.
Viciously. He drowns him in the sewer.
Yeah, to the point where Everlast is
he dead, yo.
I don't want to interrupt.
Yeah.
Just deal with this at your own pace. I just want to point out he's dead.
He's very polite about it.
He's I don't, because he could be next.
That's right. I just want to say, Oh wow, I was gonna say something that totally flew over my head. Okay, never mind.
Well, they get away, and they're hiding in like an abandoned warehouse, and lo and behold, they feel that their savior, the bus, public transit is the savior in this, we're
Which,
supposed to be.
yeah, and when it doesn't stop for them, Cuba shoots at it.
Yeah.
Like as if that's gonna
The
help.
best part is they're running, trying to get the bus driver to stop, saying stop, stop, and they're not doing anything suspicious. They don't look like they've been beat up too badly or anything like that. They're banging on the window saying stop, stop, stop. She had just stopped at a bus stop. She goes, I don't think so, and keeps driving. So I'm thinking, passengers, people paying the transit fares, not on my watch. As a bus driver.
Yeah, the bus driver assumes a lot.
Well, you know what? And she's proven right, because as you said, because she didn't stop, Cuba Gooding Jr. starts shooting at her.
Cuba might have shot her in the face and taken over the bus. Who knows? He is uncorked at this point in the movie.
But it's at this point when Emilio is trying to kind of rally the troops or whatever with Cuba, and trying to get him on board with running and not trying to shoot people in the face, where you get this kind of fantastic mix of Martin and Charlie Sheen living in Emilio Estevez at that point.
What?
Well, because Emilio is, he's young and roguish like Charlie Sheen was at the time, his brother.
Mm-hmm.
But he's expounding fatherly, worldly wisdom like his father Martin would.
Yes.
So
he's got all of them.
He's got. You know what? It's one of those things where it's like I really wish Emilio Estevez was still at the forefront. Had kept that star had just kept rising, because he was my favorite. I'm just gonna put it out there. Emilio Estevez. I was a huge Emilio Estevez fan when I was a kid. I really wish things had kept going well for them. I would have much rather see, him get success more over than Charlie Sheen.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Martin. I was like,
Martin's fantastic.
I dig Martin.
Yeah, he's awesome. But so next they break into a swap meet.
Oh yeah, what was that place?
It's like a swap meet, farmers market type place or something.
Oh, and Emilio, yeah. So when they break into it and the alarm goes off, about 5 seconds go by, because you'd expect a little bit of time before someone shows up, right?
Yeah.
5 seconds go by, and Emilio says, "Excellent response time."
You know what? But I don't know why he makes that joke. They called the cops. They tried to flag down the cops. There was no response time. I don't know why he thought this would be any different.
Right.
And then the cops or the security with guns. I don't know when that happens.
I think that.
Up.
Yeah, is that like a U.S. thing? Like that's an American thing?
Maybe, I don't know.
Because that is not a thing here.
Yeah, they show up and they they're frisk them and they're like, we're gonna call the cops. Well, go ahead. That number's. They start doing shtick.
Yeah, remember that number's 911, guys.
Yeah. Again, you're still being pursued by people who want to kill you.
By the way,
we'll laugh and joke next Sunday when you're home, safe in the suburbs again.
Yeah, with your wife while she's watching TV with her friend.
Yeah. So
that show you like? What's that show again?
Yeah. No, you're making me feel guilty. So, obviously, this is the final confrontation. Denis
Big
Leary
scene. Big scene.
up. Oh, huge. Denis Leary and Everlast show up. They off one of the security guards, and Denis Leary takes over the microphone and says, "We got a special today in frozen foods, dead meat."
Beautiful line.
Beautiful. Again, Denis Leary at his most Denis Leary.
Right. I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
That would have been the perfect time.
It would have been. Or at least that final exchange between him and Emilio when they're having their face-to-face.
Right.
So it was at this point my wife, because I put her through all of these movies, pointed out to me that Everlast has an ever-changing length of hair.
Oh, actually?
Well, when he took his hat off, or took his toque off in the sewer, he was shaved, like bald, like right down to the nub, and when he was in the swap meet, he had easily a good half-week growth going on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How did they not? Well, it's wow. I would have thought I would have caught that, but wow, that's so his hair changes. I think
movie.
It's
just because it's so slight.
Okay.
It may have been a reshoot or something like that, but it's so slight that they never bothered to say, hey, no, you got to shave that right down to the dub again.
They didn't put a wig on him.
Or a bald cap.
That would have been great if Everlast had a huge wig this entire movie.
Yeah.
It's a giant head of hair.
So, the Everlast shows up, as I said, with the hair and everything like that, and he has this confrontation with the rent-a-cop who has a gun, and they shoot each other. The rent-a-cop shoots Everlast, and Everlast shoots the rent-a-cop.
Wait, the rent-a-cop gets a shot off at him?
Well, that's how Everlast he takes a shot
from Cuba. That's later.
I thought he took a shot during that scene. I'll have to go back and watch it now. I have another excuse to go back and watch that movie.
There you go. That and that other thing we said.
Right.
Whatever that other thing was.
That other thing was.
I don't remember. It's been like an hour.
So, anyways, now they're alone again with the people who are trying to kill them, and they're searching again with the faces. During these scenes where they're looking for Emilio Estevez and Stephen Dorff, they do a lot of this weird close-up work on Denis Leary's face, and then they'll do a weird close-up look on Emilio Estevez's face. I don't know what the director was going for there. I'm glad he went for it, because it was really interesting.
See, now I have to go back, because I don't remember any of this close-up stuff.
Oh, yeah, it's not as prevalent as in the sewers, but it's still definitely, there.
I'll have to at least rewatch that sewer scene.
So, Everlast gets taken out by Cuba, like you said.
Yeah.
And he gets shot too.
Okay, he shoots Cuba, and right here I was like, oh, that's Cuba's death scene. I was sure that was it.
Yep. Nope, he survived. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness for Cuba.
Yep. Which nobody in America ever said. Not for Cuba Gooding Jr., but for the communist country.
Zing.
Take that, Castro.
Wow, we are getting political.
And Stephen Dorff gets shot too in the leg, I believe.
Yeah, he does. And because then there's that exchange where Dorff says to Cuba, "You look fucked up," and Cuba says, "Yeah, at least I can walk."
I may be dying of sepsis in the stomach, but at least I can walk.
Yeah. I may have got shot in the stomach, but hey, I got my legs.
So this is where they're trying to hide, and Stephen Dorff's trying to reach up and lock the door so Denis Leary can't find them locked in the closet.
This is the Bugs Bunny scene.
Oh, yeah.
Because Emilio runs around and goes, "I'm right here, asshole!" Runs around the building.
And Dennis, we forgot to leave out the point. There was a plot point, and it was happened way back. Then Emilio Estevez dropped his wallet.
Yes.
And keeps calling out Emilio Estevez's character, Francis, by his name.
I had a girl named Francis.
Yeah. This is a nice wife you got there, Frank. Is she Italian? I always wanted a fucking Italian girl.
Oh, yeah, he really wants to fuck Emilio's wife.
Yeah.
Or his girlfriend. Whatever.
This is his wife.
It's his wife? Okay.
Yeah, don't make him feel guilty about it.
Sorry, I didn't want to impose my moral judgment on him.
So, he's still doing it during this scene and everything like that. And he's doing it while he's beating up Emilio Estevez.
Yeah.
Because that's what, Denis Leary, he talks a lot.
He kicks he shoves his face with his foot through a glass table without hardly any effort.
Well, and it was like a display case, and there was like sporting equipment in there.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, he's gonna slyly grab something and beat Denis Leary with it. He doesn't.
No.
He just screams, "No more!" and he just starts wailing on him.
He starts hulking up.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're big. This is their big fight, and they get into the scuffle, and he gets pushed like he's gonna fall over. Emilio Estevez hits Denis Leary into a banister that breaks, and he's about to fall, and he's like, "Well, Jesus Christ, help me, Francis!"
And he almost does.
And he does. And Denis Leary's like, "I knew you'd do the right thing, you asshole," or something like that.
Yeah.
And to it, Emilio Estevez doesn't. Denis Leary falls to his doom, and Emilio Estevez has to climb, back up on the balcony to prevent himself from dying.
See, I got the idea here that when he says "help me," Emilio legitimately, because he's such a gosh darn nice guy, helps him, and then Leary falls on his own fault. Like, I feel like Emilio didn't push him. He actually was going to help him up.
He didn't push him. He did everything he could, though, to get loose from him, because when he reached out to grab him, and Denis Leary's like, "I knew you'd do the right thing, Francis," and he's like, "You're coming with me," and he starts pulling him, and then that's when his character's like, "Oh, clearly he wants to kill me. I'm going to do everything I can to not go with him."
Emilio's like, maybe he's not so bad.
Yeah.
I'll give him a hand. I mean, did I really like Ray anyway?
So Denis Leary falls to his doom, and Emilio Estevez has to walk down the stairs past where he fell. And this is another one of those points where I was, the predictability factor was big for me.
Yes.
This is going to be like, he's going to jump up and he's going to have to beat him, bludgeon him to death or something like that.
I expected that too.
Nothing.
No.
Didn't do it.
I even thought, when that didn't happen, when he was talking to the cops later, that he would pop up and be like, "Ah!"
Oh, like at the end of Die Hard or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no final roar moment in this movie, which I think they kind of supplanted it a bit, though, because when he goes to call the cops or to make a phone call in the office, the cops show up and they're like, "Freeze." So I'm almost waiting for like him to kind of get shot or something like that, because the cops have no idea who he is. And Emilio starts to try to explain it to him.
And another cop comes in and says, "No, there's a bunch of bodies in here. He's telling the truth." Like, what?
I don't know how that cop heard him say any of that stuff.
I don't know how that cop surmised that because there's a bunch of bodies in there, Emilio is innocent.
Yeah.
What? Like, okay, you show up on the scene, you see this guy in an office, bloodied, you see a bunch of bodies everywhere. Wouldn't you assume that he might have maybe done it?
Or, yeah, at least detain him.
Yeah. You wouldn't just be like, "Oh, shit, I guess you are innocent."
Let him go.
Some fine police work on display.
And, of course, the happy wrap-up. Everybody, the ambulance comes, Cuba Gooding Jr. goes off in the ambulance, and Emilio's like, "Is he okay?" And the paramedic's like, he's lost a lot of blood, but his vitals are good," which kind of tells you, yeah, he's going to make it. Which, again, an African-American making it through one of these movies in 1993 was unheard of.
Yeah, this is the same year Sam Jackson met his fate in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, unless you're Danny Glover in a Lethal Weapon movie, you're not making it out alive.
Right.
And he did. So good for them and good for him.
Good for you, Cuba. Yep. Cuba Gooding
Jr. And then the cop gives Francis his wallet back. It's a nice family you got there. You don't want to lose that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that line is clearly ADR. And when he gives him the wallet, you see a close up on the wallet, right? And you hear the cop say, "That's a nice looking family there," as if like we had to be told that it was a nice looking family.
Yeah. Oh, and your wife's outside.
Okay, what?
Why would you call her?
Why would you call her? And if he didn't, how the fuck does she know where he is? Your wife is outside. I guess she followed your scent. I guess she must be related to Denis Leary.
Well,
She must have fucking. She must have found the GPS tracking device.
Well, when he leaves the toilet seat up, the first thing she says is, "Don't move, don't whisper, don't even breathe."
Oh, and also, I just got to mention, going back just a tiny bit, when Emilio is about to, I guess, kill Denis Leary, or Denis Leary is about to die, he gets an action movie one-liner that makes no sense, because he says, "And don't call me Francis." However, yes, Denis Leary's been calling him Francis every now and then, but I don't feel like this ever annoyed him. Like, he never was like, "Oh, it's Frank." You know what I mean?
I think, well, that's it. I think that the idea is supposed to be that the joke is so prevalent that, the joke is that the name is so prevalently feminine when you say it that way. Any guy who's named Francis.
Yeah, you don't want to be called friggin' Francis.
You call me Frank.
You call me Frank. It's not Francis, friggin' Frank. What do you think I am, some kind of fairy?
Yeah, and they would have been perfectly fine with you saying that in this movie.
Exactly. That could have been a line in the script.
Yep. So, all in all, man, it's a great movie.
This movie is fucking awesome.
If you didn't watch it, do yourself a favor, go watch it again, and then a few more times, try to find the soundtrack, then watch it again. I cannot say, it's so bananas, but it's so fun, and it has such a good clip. It's almost 2 hours long, but it doesn't even feel like it.
I think it's about an hour and 45-ish.
Yeah.
But it's nonstop. It's ridiculous, crazy at times.
It's entertaining. There's no point
very
where
entertaining.
it drags. There's never a point where it's like,
no.
Oh my god, this is interminable.
Even the beginning, like, we launch right into the movie. It's very quick, very fast paced. The acting is very fun. It's just, I think it's one of those movies that at the time it probably wasn't as good because they were just like, well, this is kind of like, this is now. But like looking back, it's just it's just so dated.
There's that, and I think it does kind of smack of genre. Like, there's a lot of movies that are like this where like a group of people are running from another group of people. And I think it may have gotten dismissed as being just kind of that ilk.
And
well, not only that, it's unfairly, in my opinion, because like I said, a lot of the stuff that happens in this movie, while the plot is kind of predictable, some of the choices aren't.
No, and there, like we mentioned, there are a couple things that you expect to happen in a movie like this that just don't, like the ending scene with him not popping up and like killing him, Cuba Gooding Jr. not dying in the movie. Like, there's certain things they do that is not predictable.
Yep, and that's the kind of it's small things like that make this movie a little more refreshing for the genre that it is.
Right. So again, we're saying this is a very entertaining movie, and clearly some of you might be going, why are you talking about it on this podcast? Because it is crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane.
What were they thinking in this case is, I know exactly what they were thinking. Let's make a super entertaining movie with two box office draws that, it's going to be super dated, but it's still super entertaining. I will defend this movie with my last breath if I have to. Well, maybe not that much, but it's still really, really good.
I would rather watch this movie 10 times in a row than rewatch the first 10 minutes of Hollywood Homicide.
100%.
Because there are two kinds of bad movies, guys. It's the movies that we did on the last two episodes, and then amazing ones like this.
Yeah, which are not. When we say, I guess to say it's bad is not that.
Not
It's bad. It's like you watch it, and it's like the production. The production value is a little low on it. Clearly,
I mean, $20 million in 1993 was nothing to sneeze at.
no, but the a good portion of that budget clearly went to
Emilio.
Yeah, well,
That was all
you
Emilio.
can joke all you want, man. He was huge. Like he at that point. You think if you take a look at his IMDb, the stuff that he was doing at that time, he was actually quite popular. I mean, you had the Mighty Ducks movies. What other movies? Like he had done the Young Guns movies.
Can you imagine if a mother had taken her kids to see this movie because she knew Emilio from the Mighty Ducks?
That was not what I was expecting. And Travis, you are not going to see another Mighty Duck movie.
They didn't play hockey once.
There was no uplifting feel-good message.
They threw that nice man off the roof. Oh, and like every time I see Jeremy Piven, all I can think is Ari Gold. It's just like it's all I can do now.
See, I never watched Entourage. Every time I see him, though, I think of his character from The Goods.
Okay. Oh god. That's another movie for another day.
Yes, it is.
So, but I still have to ask you something.
What's that?
What were they thinking? Hey, Nathan, so we're a couple of mooks, we're a couple assholes, we're a couple ace-holes. You know why?
Ace-holes.
Do you know why that is?
Why's that there, Brendan?
We forgot to announce the movie next week,
Oh my God. We're freaking just morons over here with the thing and the whatnot.
Freaking morons. And by next week, I mean in 2 weeks. Say.
See, that's the moron again coming through.
Moron. There's so much moronicness. Is that a word? Moronicness?
It is when you're a moron.
Hey, oh, wait. So, in 2 weeks, we'll have our next episode. I am going to bring in our first guest as well. So we're going to have 3 people. My good friend and coworker, Jerika, will be here to discuss a film with us.
Will Jem be there with her? Possibly.
She will actually love that you made that joke because
I'm gonna make that joke a lot.
She loves Jem. But our movie will be the 1986 classic skateboarding movie starring Josh Brolin. That's right. I'm talking about Thrashin.
Oh my god, it's so good. It's so terrible. It's so good.
Josh Brolin has gone on record to say that he is embarrassed by his performance in this movie.
It's pretty bad. But I mean, it's so good.
This is the man who was in No Country for Old Men. And he's also in Thrashin.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for that in 2 weeks.